U.S. President Donald Trump has recently shown his intention to engage in talks with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. But this gesture looks to be met by Kim maintaining a hardline approach. Today, we take a closer look at another possible dialogue between these two men. Our correspondent Kim Bo-kyoung joins us here in the studio. Bo-kyoung, North Korea's first response towards the Trump administration was not that friendly. Tell us more about that and what is Pyongyang thinking?
All right, Jungmin. Well, as you have already said, North Korea recently released its first official criticism of Trump administration, condemning the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, calling it a rogue state while he was having an interview with a journalist. And regarding this, the regime's foreign ministry spokesperson said on Monday that Rubio's remarks reaffirm how Washington's hostile policy toward the North remains unchanged, and that the regime will not tolerate any provocation by the U.S. This comes after Trump said late last month that he planned to engage with Kim.
He happens to be a smart guy. Kim Jong-un is a smart guy.
Well, this raised the prospects of a potential dialogue between Trump and Kim. And instead of responding to this, however, Pyongyang is sending a message to Washington via its foreign ministry, which said that if there was no change in words or actions from the U.S. regarding its hostile policy, then the North would continue its hardline approach. And also with Kim visiting a nuclear material production base. And one expert says Pyongyang wants preconditions to be met for a dialogue to resume.
Pyongyang is demanding the U.S. to respect its sovereignty, not to interfere in its internal affairs, and to suspend South Korea-U.S. joint military exercise.
If this dialogue does happen, what are the chances of Trump going for the so-called small deal?
Well, to answer that question, Jungmin, we first need to talk about what exactly a small deal is. A small deal is an initial or intermediate step toward the ultimate goal of complete denuclearization. However, for now, a big deal is unfeasible at the moment, with even officials and experts being pessimistic about it. And thus, the small deal is deemed a more pragmatic approach, primarily focusing on reducing the nuclear and missile threat North Korea poses to the U.S., such as with a nuclear freeze and halt to weapons tests, particularly ICBMs. Trump would want to see some achievement within his term, so he will likely go for this first. And experts say even such a small deal would be a big achievement.
If the small deal goes well and mutual trust is built, it can serve as a foundation for the next step, ultimately leading to complete denuclearization. However, the current level of distrust between North Korea and the U.S. is so deep that even achieving a small deal would be considered a significant success.
Well, one thing we need to note is that while the U.S. aims to manage North Korea's nuclear threats through a disarmament deal instead of complete denuclearization, there is the possibility the U.S. might suspend joint military exercises with South Korea.
In the past, a moratorium was implemented with Pyongyang agreeing to suspend nuclear tests and ICBM launches, while Washington scaled down South Korea-US joint military exercises and stopped the deployment of strategic assets to the Korean peninsula. Trump could consider such similar measures again.
If the two men, Kim and Trump, do start such negotiations, some express concerns that South Korea could be left out.
Right. Given that North Korean leader is sending messages to Trump, hinting at preconditions for the talks to resume, we cannot be sure when they will meet, but we can be sure about the possibility of the dialogue to begin soon. Now, considering the political turmoil South Korea is dealing with, we cannot say Seoul's preparations for a potential Kim-Trump summit are enough. Experts say, however, the U.S. would not be able to just leave out its allies' say regarding the issue.
There will be sufficient discussions between Seoul and Washington over the agenda, location and timing of the talks before Washington starts contacting Pyongyang. Also, the US will try to persuade North Korea to engage in inter-Korean dialogue, either before the North Korea-US talks or concurrently with them.
All right, thank you, Bo-kyoung, for the explanation.
My pleasure.